Yo, what's up guys, hope you guys are doing good. So today we are gonna see what if Naruto releases his anger during the chunin exams movie. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. So let's get into the video. Naruto spat out blood as Kiba and Akamaru smashed his back from above with their devastating Gatsuga. Naruto winced in pain and then slumped on the floor. Once a loser, always a loser. Why don't you stay down for your own good? Kiba stepped on Naruto's head, then laughed tauntingly, then moved on to ranting about how Naruto was always a failure and would never become a Hokage. You know you're just bluffing. You cannot win against me and Akamaru. You're just a failure who's fooling himself. Give it up, Naruto. You can do it. Inner Sakura was infuriated. Even though Naruto was usually hyper, stupid and annoying, he really was very endearing. It was wrong to put somebody down like that, though Sakura conveniently ignored the fact that she did that almost every day to him. Sakura-chan. Naruto regained his boiling pride as he heard her cheering him on. She's cheering for me. I must be strong. Think, Naruto. Think. Naruto tried to get up and managed to stand up on 2 feet. Still want some more? How many times do I have to tell you? Just give up. You won't win, loser. Kiba and Akamaru laughed at Naruto simultaneously and insulted him. Shut up. I am Uzumaki Naruto who will surpass the great Hokage himself. Remember it. I will not lose to some smelly dog like you. Kiba's eyebrows twitched madly at the line smelly dog. Is that all you ever say, you ramen freak? Do I have to remind you what a failure you were back at the academy? You were always doing pranks, messing things up and being a jackass. It's a miracle that you even made it up to this point. It was most likely just a fluke. This is my last warning. Give up. Kiba smirked at Naruto's fuming head. Kakashi-sensei. Don't you think Kiba is being a little too harsh? Sakura asked Kakashi with fear. Kakashi, who was reading his treasured Ichiraku paradise, turned his attention to Sakura. Sakura, Naruto is stronger than he looks. He will be able to overcome this. Kakashi told Sakura, but it sounded more like he was trying to convince himself. Sakura became more worried as she assumed this the wrong way. Kakashi was deep in his thoughts and for once, not reading Ichiraku paradise out of his own accord. I hope anyway Kyuubi's powers are awakened by a strong surge of emotions if Naruto snaps. It still gave Kakashi the chills the last time Naruto was angered to a point of absolute darkness. He could never really forget the chills Kyuubi's chakra gave off. Sasuke jumped forward, just in time to be pierced by Haku's needles, which were being aimed at unconscious Naruto. Sasuke grabbed Haku by wrist and threw him against Haku's Makuhushu that was trapping Naruto and Sasuke. Sasuke. Why? Naruto caught Sasuke's falling body, then gently laid his head on his lap. Naruto had thousands of thoughts and questions for the boy who lay lifelessly on his lap. Don't ask me why, you dope, I don't even know why I did that myself. Is this the end? Sasuke said through clenched teeth to hold back the grunt of pain that shot through his entire body. Don't say something stupid like that, you're gonna be okay, right? Right. Naruto desperately held on to Sasuke's hand, whom he thought he hated, who was arrogant, who had everything he didn't have, who just gave his life to save Naruto's. He didn't know what to think anymore. He could only ask the now limp body of Sasuke, why? Why? Aku answered, because this is the way of the shinobi. He was a shinobi to be respected. He died to protect someone precious to him. Shut up. Naruto was standing over Sasuke's body, trembling from unsuppressed anger. His anger has awoken the dormant power of Kyuubi no Yakai and was seeping out of his chakra holes, giving an aura of menace to the entire bridge. Chakra of absolute power cracked the very ground they stood, then spiraled over the blonde genin. Haku was puzzled. His behavior is completely different from a moment ago. What's this? Different chakra. Chakra just can't change like this, and this horrifying dread. Who is this kid? Will I even stand a chance against power like this? Unfortunately for Haku, Naruto had no patience. I'm gonna kill you. With newly gained incredible power, Naruto roared with anger and sorrow of his loss. Haku felt pure fear when he felt Naruto's glare, which was filled with an incredible amount of killing intent. The killing intent that could completely freeze anyone out of pure fear with a mere glance. It was an all-out killing intent, promising eternity of devastating pain in the endless abyss. All focused on him and him alone. Haku felt his right hand which held the needle tremble. He noted unconsciously how his eyes have changed to blood red and that his body resembles more of a feral impression. I must live. Zabuza-sama still may need me. Haku firmly resolved himself to face the enraged madness with pure will. Haku threw multiple needles at the same time, at different places, and covered Naruto like a dead hedgehog, which Naruto didn't even seem to be fazed with. What am I dealing with? He doesn't seem to be even slightly pained. They've all hit the vital organs, so how is he still standing? Haku decided to return to the safety of the Makuhushu and then watched Naruto with caution. Meanwhile, Naruto's rage was mixed with Kyuubi's aching bloodlust and Naruto's desire to avenge his fallen comrade, his friend, his precious person. The very thought of Sasuke angered him to no end, creating his own little mantra which angered him further, repeating and repeating within the hazy mind due to Kyuubi's influence. Naruto, powered infinitely by the mighty chakra of Kyuubi no Yakai, was done with waiting and lunged forward with devastating speed towards the mirror that contained Haku's real body. Milliseconds after Naruto charged at him, Haku already knew that he was going to die. Kakashi closed his eyes in a contemplative manner. We must not let a repeat of that happen again. Sakura, tell others to be ready. Don't ask why. Sakura was about to ask a why against Kakashi's command, but after seeing that mirth had left his visible right eye, which meant that he was serious, she pouted and left. Turning his gaze back to his beloved book, he thought, there is no telling what'll happen to Kiba. Better get ready for anything. On the opposite side of the battlefield, Hyuga Hinata was caught in a dilemma. What should I do? I should be cheering for Kiba-kun, but I want to cheer for Naruto-kun. Currently, Hinata was quite angry at her feral teammate, and for a good reason too. How dare Kiba-kun mock Naruto-kun's efforts? She mentally noted to herself to give Kiba-kun a scolding later. Of course, she was painfully oblivious to the fact that the only reason the Inuzuka was cruel to her desired person was the fact that Hinata herself desired Naruto over Kiba. Kiba had developed a crush on his teammate, though no one but Shino knew. She was snapped out of her angry thoughts when a pink-haired girl came to talk with her sensei. She wondered if this was about Naruto-kun. Kurenai-sensei, Kakashi-sensei sent me to give you the message to be ready, polite as ever, Sakura told Kurenai. She smirked back as a reply. I see. Just tell Kakashi that he should stop reading that damn perverted book and get ready himself. I despise that book. It's an insult to all women. Kurenai thought angrily. Sakura sweat-dropped and gave a small nod, then left to tell Asuma the message. After she left, Hinata heard her sensei briefly whispering something to herself. I wonder if all of us are enough for him. Hinata could not suppress a sudden chill that ran down her spine. She tried to force herself to believe that this had nothing to do with her beloved Naruto-kun and that everything was going to be okay. How typical that she could not believe her own words. Meanwhile, down in the chunin exam arena, Kiba was still taunting the barely standing Naruto. You loser, don't you remember how you were? The whole class laughed. Stop it. What an idiot, you'll always be the loser. Everyone in the class laughed, taunting at his failure. Shut up, you failure. Kiba had an arrogant smirk plastered all over his face. A smirk that clearly said, I'm superior, I'm stronger, and you are the inferior, and you're a loser. It's over. Let's finish this, Akamaru Gatsuuga. With a sharp bark, Kiba and Akamaru spun and then charged at Naruto with incredible speed. Akamaru came down from above while Kiba struck from below. Naruto just stood there, trembling, shaking, doing nothing to protect himself from Kiba and Akamaru's deadly combo. He was angry, enraged. His pure hatred aimed towards everyone who had taunted him and laughed at his failure. Then, there was that little tempting voice that was always whispering words of surrender to him, telling him to surrender to the power of the Yakai. If only he would give up. No. If I let the fox's chakra affect him now, then everyone will surely know the truth and be afraid of me. I cannot let that happen. Naruto snapped out of his musings as Kibas approached him at high speed. In the meantime, Naruto performed his favorite, even though he had no idea how much chakra he had left. Fortunately, 19 cage buncheons phased into existence, all ready to pound the hell out of their opponent. Up in the stands, Kakashi has pulled out his Sharingan to check if Naruto had used Kyuubi's chakra, but surprisingly found none. He's not going to use it. Interesting. Back in the arena, Naruto has made a new oath to himself. I can't let that dog boy beat me. This is my fight. I will win this without the damned fox. I will show them all. I will show everyone that I am strong. Within the little spinning tornado, Kiba thought that Naruto was braver than he thought. So he's not gonna run away. I'll give him credit for his guts, but it will take more than that. Akamaru, Kiba called as they readied themselves for a final blow. With a new promise, courage, and power he did not know he possessed, all 20 Narutos charged toward it to perform their super secret technique. This time, you're going to be the underdog, Kiba. I wonder if Naruto was the dead last in the academy and Kiba was a dog. I wonder who will win, Ino mused as Naruto's battle commenced. Hey Shikamaru, who do you think will win this one? Ino asked curiously towards a half-asleep pretending to be Shikamaru. He pretended to be sleeping some more and ignored Ino until she was angry as an earthquake for being ignored, and an ignored Ino is a dangerous Ino. Hey Shikamaru. Can't you hear me? Ino's ultimate technique, shake and yell until Shikamaru turns blue, was put into action, almost nearly killing the poor shadow user. Cough exhale few inhale huff alright already man, girls are annoying wham. Obviously Ino wasn't happy with Shikamaru's little sexist comment about her kind. Anyways, what do you think of Shika? Ino asked as she resumed her pursuit of her curiosity. I'm not too sure based on academy scores and previous performances, I would say Kiba should win this one easily, but something's telling me Kiba won't win easily, Shikamaru said in his too much hassle, and a great need to watch Cloud's attitude while leaning on the railing. Well, duh Shika, Kiba's definitely better. He's supposed to be way better than that dead last. What makes you say the ramen freak won't lose so easily? Shikamaru felt a pang of jealousy for Ino's praise, or insult, of Kiba's capabilities. I'm not gonna bother explaining. It's so troublesome, Shikamaru sighed, as Ino's face tone looked just about an explosive tag millisecond before explosion. Why you Shika Ino, whatever Shika says should be pretty accurate, trust me. Choji said for the first time while cutting Ino off, still stuffing chips, and holding back an explosive Ino from using her fearsome ultimate attack on poor unsuspecting Shikamaru all at the same time. I can't trust either of you lazy bums if it's the last thing left in the world. Of course, Ino did not mean this, and two boys knew this was just to blow off her steam in much less painful way than choking the life out of Shikamaru, and he said he preferred it this way than the other way for seemingly obvious reasons of avoiding immense pain. But deep down the ingenious mind of Shikamaru, a small part of him, said in a whispering voice that cut clear of any other thoughts that currently occupied the ponytail genin, told him that the immense pain was nothing compared to the wonders of Ino's close proximity during performance of her attack. Down in the arena, 20 charged at 2 approaching. As both attacks spun towards a large group of Narutos charging at him, 5 of them snuck behind the incoming attacks and readied. As 2 devastating attacks ran in circles, attacking the 15 trapped Narutos occasionally, 5 Narutos started to get in position while managing to conceal themselves. One of you must be real. Akamaru, formation no. .2. Arf. As Akamaru sent its affirmative, both ran across the group of Narutos in zigzag manner, destroying 4 of the dodging Narutos, while the remaining ones tried to attack the spinning frenzies from the side. Naruto yelled as 3 Narutos threw shurikens at the spinning, which proved pointless, as the spinning nails of the Akamaru Kiba's nails deflected them easily while still spinning. It won't work. We are nearly invincible in this state. Our eyes are so keen that we can see our surroundings while we are spinning. Akamaru, let's show these dead lasts what real pain is. Hi Akamaru. No reply. Akamaru. Still no reply. Akabaka Inu. Pay attention. Yelled a Naruto who kicked Kiba on the chin, who let his guard drop while he was concerned for his partner's safety. What the hell just happened? Kiba wondered as he groaned and struggled to recover from his almost fatal blow to his chin. Due to his Juujin state, his lower jaw has been weakened and a direct blow would have been almost fatal, most likely remodeling the entire position of his jaw. Good thing I moved to my right with reflexes or else I probably would have been a goner. I should watch out. Seems this dead last could provide me more trouble than I originally thought. Nani now fully standing, Kiba could not hide his amazement and horror as his jaw dropped and hit the floor. Naruto's soft chuckle spread throughout the arena, giving Kiba's keen sense of hearing a good dose of feeling of hopelessness. Crunch munch crunch. Choji's ferocious bites on his chips became more and more louder as battle went on, which infuriated Ino tenfolds as it became louder. Choji. Can't you stop eating for once? Stop eating. Do you know how annoying that is? Ufa Ino. Shikamaru clamped his hands on her lips as he stopped Ino from saying the forbidden taboo word to Choji with a stern voice and a hint of exhaustion. You know it's taboo to say it in front of Choji. How many times do I have to save you? Ino stared at Shikamaru as if it was the most absurd thing she'd ever heard. Save me? From what? Ino's voice contained mostly anger, which Shikamaru figured as from feeling insulted and a minor mix of amazement and surprise. Shikamaru sighed. You know, Choji is stronger than he looks. He's probably one of the strongest Jujutsu users in the exam. Besides, you shouldn't insult him. It bothers me, Shikamaru mentally added. Ino, once again, reaching the peak of her frustration, was about to yell her heads off until the blissfully unaware, munching Choji pointed at the arena and exclaimed, look at Akamaru. I don't believe this. How did he do that, Kakashi-sensei? He has never done that before. Sakura, who was watching the showdown quietly until now, exclaimed to Kakashi as he was still reading the Ichiraku Paradise. I believe Naruto will explain it to us after this match, Kakashi said, as his gaze still on the beloved book while observing the battle at same time. I'm also curious about this. How did he manage this? How the hell does he know what's going on with his nose stuck in that little piece of crap that calls itself a book? Inner Sakura yelled as she ripped her hairs off with frustration at her sensei's seemingly careless answer. HMP, I thought you knew everything, Kakashi-sensei. Sakura said disappointedly at her pervert sensei, who shrugged in return. To say that the Taijutsu specialist Rock Lee was shocked would be an understatement beyond comparison. He just witnessed something he would probably remember for the rest of his life. Well, maybe not, but it was incredible, to say the least. He did not know how Naruto-kun was capable of this kind of thing. Unfortunately, his sensei wasn't here, so he would have to wait and ask his sensei how such a thing is possible without a good pair of Sharingan. He briefly wondered if he got a Sharingan eye transferred just like Kakashi sensei. He started thinking of bribing Kakashi sensei to get him a Sharingan eye transferred, but decided against it, considering that the body has to be suitable for such an eye. Sharingan, I want one. Gaara of the desert was amused. The blonde genin showed improvements, as he has just proved. Gaara still didn't see him as a threat but couldn't help but to think it would be an amusing battle if the blonde were to go up against himself. Gaara promised painful and enjoyable, at least to himself, death. He thought he felt something inhuman stirred inside his chakra earlier, though it was only a glimmer. Gaara quickly dismissed the thought as he said to himself, no one except himself carries a monster that all else lives for him to kill and all for him to kill alone. That thought alone made Gaara itch with anxiousness. I want to kill to feel once again. Back in the arena, you didn't expect this now, did you? Kiba-kun Naruto, which seemed to be the real 1 out of 7 leftover cage buncheons, spoke as he was holding a limp and beat up Akamaru by his neck. How dare you, Naruto? Kiba yelled as he saw with horror that his prized friend possession was bruised and seemed to be whimpering. Akamaru's legs were bent in a sickening way and some tears and sweat were visible all around his body. How is it that all 5 Naruto seem fine? Akamaru didn't get rid of any cage buncheons. Then a thought suddenly hit him as he realized that it took way too long for him to destroy 13 cage buncheons and there were still 7 of the cage buncheons standing, undamaged. Could it be? The cage buncheons didn't disappear after a direct hit. You're wrong, Kiba. Naruto spoke up as he seemed to read Kiba's facial expression. Naruto's grin spread across his face, not in a usual manner, but in an indescribably sadistic way. Kiba shuddered hard. Let me show you something I picked up before this exam. If I ended it here, would you call me evil? No, I'm evil, but not that evil. In a flash, 2 Narutos who Kiba was fighting before lunged at him at an immense speed and passed him before he could even blink. Kiba was dumbstruck and could not even utter a sound. This is how I defeated your so-called Akamaru without even getting a scratch, and 2 out of 15 clones survived for a prolonged period of time. All 7 Narutos started speaking, and Kiba was frustrated. He felt as if he was being outmatched by this dead last, and it was a big blow to his pride indeed. He bit his hand in concentration and asked Naruto in a relatively calm manner, betraying his inner turmoil. How did you gain this speed? I don't understand. Of course you don't. You've never seen me like this, have you? Let's just say I witnessed a certain thick eyebrows kick the pretty boy's ass, and well, even I can't explain it. It just came to me when I needed it. Kiba was shaking now. Well, thick eyebrows did that weird thing with his legs, then Sasuke went flying up in the air. It was just a glimmer, but I managed to somehow catch how he moved. I admit, it was quite difficult to knock Akamaru out, but I succeeded anyway. Naruto's grin widened in what seemed like satisfaction. Kiba shook with understanding. He had witnessed it once when he was on a mission. Guy's team and Kurenai's were on a joint mission and were with them. There, Kiba witnessed firsthand how fast and dangerous Lee could be. Kiba understood what Naruto was talking about and it frightened him. His taijutsu style and speed rivaled Rock Lee's evenly. All 7 remaining Narutos smirked at one intimidated Kiba and threw the limp Akamaru at the walls. As Akamaru's body slammed the grey walls of the arena, a sickening crack was heard throughout the arena, making the spectators wince. Akamaru? Kiba's voice held much fear and anger as his red faithful companion slid down the wall. That was unnecessary. Why did you throw Akamaru? I'll make you pay. Kiba's better judgment would have made some sensible decisions in this situation, but anger has gotten the better of him. Charging in blind anger, Kiba forgot about the consequences of such action in the current situation. I pity Akamaru for having such an insensible tamer. As the real Naruto shook his head at Kiba's idiotic action, 6 Narutos immediately got in action, clearly intending to finish this match off. Kiba now realized how bad the situation had gotten by his blind charge at the incoming Narutos and tried to change the inevitable fate by performing his Gatsura. 6 Narutos, the remaining one is probably the real one. If I take him out, then the clones will disappear. Now regaining some of his tactical sense, Kiba dodged as best he can while maintaining a straight line at the 7th Naruto. Almost there. What? The 7th Naruto charged at his face with blinding speed and then punched the center of the rapid Gatsura while yelling "you," effectively hitting Kiba square on the face. Kiba was sent flying backwards, with all the momentum of Gatsura working against him. 2 Narutos jumped high as the 4 Narutos executed the first movements of the Lotus on incoming Kiba, yelling "Zu. Ma. Hi." Each kick made a painful thud and made an impact on Kiba. While Kiba flew to the 2 Narutos in midair, they performed a double axe kick to Kiba's head and stomach and then yelled in unison, "Naruto Renden." Kiba headed straight toward the ground head first. He hit the ground with a gruesome thud and then laid still. Everyone in the arena was silent. Naruto's heavy breathing was the only noticeable sound. He said with dignity, don't underestimate me. Winner. Naruto. Yosh. Go Naruto. For once, Sakura and her inner self yelled together, but she was the only one. Everyone else was murmuring or in their own thoughts. So he was watching Sasuke. The name is a copy too, although his sudden change in behavior bothers me. This is worth being reported, Kakashi thought, as he remembered Sasuke's shy Renden. That idiot really won, though something seemed odd. Shikamaru shuddered involuntarily as he recalled Naruto's sudden change in attitude and strength. Kiba, you fought a good fight. He was a worthy opponent of your caliber. What surprises me is that he seemed to have beaten you on his own. Kurina thought as she gazed at one of her students being carried out the door. Kiba was always brash, maybe just below Naruto. She did not expect her student to win because of his playfulness and somewhat of stupidity, but she had not expected him to be pummeling like this. He really has grown, hasn't he? Hinata chose well. Wow, is this the dead last loser? What did Kakashi do to him? Incredulous, Asuma was amazed at Naruto's victory. Did he use Kyuubi? Is that how he defeated him? I did not sense it. Is this the dead last loser I keep hearing about? He wasn't that bad. If he's dead last, then I wonder how strong everyone else is, Kankuro thought as he recalled the Uchiha's match, then compared it to Naruto's. Nah, they're all weaklings. At least the girl is my sister should be a role model for all of them. Gaara was getting psyched at the action before him and was aching for a fight that could give him some excitement. Any blood will do. Naruto-kun, I will not let you use my taijutsu at will. There is something called copyrights, you know. Rock Lee thought angrily as he conveniently forgot that the taijutsu weren't his to begin with. Naruto-kun, I'm glad you won, but what happened to you? You are always bright. Why did you turn cold all of a sudden? Hyuga Hinata thought Naruto's cold attitude bothered her. She let out a sigh of relief as Naruto seemed to have turned back to normal as he grinned back at the balconies. I wish I could smile like you. Don't underestimate me. 6 Narutos disappeared with a puff and the real Naruto stood tall and grand as the victor despite his extreme exhaustion. Winner. Naruto. The real Naruto looked up at the balconies and smiled with cheerfulness as he heard Sakura cheered for him. His previous show of cold attitude was nowhere to be seen. He had mentally noted that no one else cheered, but it didn't matter. Actually, it did matter a little bit that Hinata wasn't cheering, but after contemplating a while about her personality, he thought that it was too much to hope for. After tossing a pitiful look at Kiba, who was out cold and being carried out by the medic nins, he warily walked over back to the balcony with his head down. He was apparently deep in thought. To him, this victory was one big step to proving that he is indeed himself. He was no demon. Though I have won without Kyuubi, I must be able to put my emotions under complete control, Naruto thought as he approached Kurenai's team, who was along the way and not noticing Hinata with her trademark blush. Naruto-kun, Hinata called softly as Naruto was thinking too deeply to notice her. I wish he would pay a little attention to me, Hinata thought sadly as she tapped him on the shoulder, jerking him out of his thoughts. What? Oh, Hinata. Hi. Naruto broke his foxy grin at the pale-eyed girl in front of him. What is it? Hinata flushed and then with a huff, she held out a small ointment to Naruto with her head down. PP, please take it. And Naruto-kun. Oh? What's this? Hinata's making the first move. This is getting interesting. Kurenai switched her attention from butt-kicked Kiba to the young genins in front of her, listening to their exchange of words. Oh no. What if he doesn't accept it? What if he laughs at me? What if Hinata's silent mental rambling of fear was cut short as Naruto announced a thank you, Hinata. You're the best. Hinata's face lit up like a fresh candle lit and also filled with relief. No problem, Naruto-kun. I hope it works well, Hinata said with a little stuttering, but managed to finish off almost normally. Naruto did not seem to notice her stuttering and stood next to her happily. Is it okay if I stand next to you? Naruto said with a bit of blush creeping up his face and felt a weird sensation in his stomach area. Hinata nodded her head so fast that it looked like a blur. Naruto laughed at this, and unknown to the two of them, Kurenai was also silently chuckling. Wow, I must be dreaming. Did Naruto-kun just ask me if he could stand next to me inside? Hinata jumped up in joy and squealed a happy squeal. Sensei, look at Naruto. Sakura poked her sensei in the arm and pointed at the comfy little group standing a few meters to her left. Apparently, they were currently involved in a deep conversation with each other. Aren't they so kawaii? Sakura squealed and then suddenly sighed as she was reminded of her own situation. I wish Sasuke-kun would actually talk to me. Kakashi moved his visible eye toward the happy couple who were talking to each other as if they knew each other for months. Aren't they happy little couple, Kakashi grumbled and turned his gaze back to his lovely book. Interesting. If I'm correct, Naruto never talked nor paid attention to Hinata before. Is there something I'm missing? They do make a cute couple, Kakashi mused as he snickered, looking at the stuff that was inside his perverted book. Shikamaru. Naruto has changed a lot, huh? Ino asked, still dumbfounded by the incredible combo that looked almost exactly alike from her idol Sasuke's combo that was executed by none other than the so-called dead last Naruto. The mentioned Shikamaru grumbled as he softly muttered the dangerous words just under Ino's hearing. Whatever Ino, it'll give you wrinkles if you keep thinking about stuff. It's just all too troublesome, eh? What's this? Shikamaru said as he noticed the couple across the arena who were busy talking. Ah, so Hinata gets her wish, eh? Shikamaru already knew that the Hyuga girl had a thing for Naruto for a long time. In fact, how could he not? Whenever by chance he saw her during his academy days, she was always looking at Naruto longingly and developing a one big heck of a blush whenever she was looking or near Naruto. He had known this for a long time but didn't bother to do anything about it since it wasn't his business and, most importantly, troublesome. "Ooh, looks like something's up," Ino said in a very scary for Shikamaru, who just knew that he was not going to like whatever she planned tone as she noticed the couple. "Interesting," Ino said as she classified the information as stored for later use and put it under her matchmaking and threats and blackmail section mentally. Shaking his head in hopelessness, Shikamaru decided to indulge into his sleep. This is the reason why females are so annoying, lovesick girl, Shikamaru thought as he ignored a thought that said you are one of those lovesick ones, just that you're a guy. "So then, Sasuke was cowering behind me when the bandits showed up, so I saved the day once again," Naruto exclaimed as he slightly exaggerated one of his missions. Only in truth was that Naruto did save the day, but only partially, since Sasuke was the one who took care of the boss. Hinata was listening to him giggling and was having the time of her life. Just like a dream come true, Hinata thought blissfully as she was basking in Naruto's presence. Just then, their little moment was ruined and Hinata's happy mood came crashing down by the challenge machine which announced the next fighters. Naruto noticed Hinata's grip tightened on the railing and her eyes widening. She was trembling a bit too. Naruto saw the electronic board and thought as his eyes also widened. A relative of Hinata's. "I heard that he is strong, seems like Hinata fears him," Naruto thought as he noted the trembling figure next to him. It was an understatement to say that Hyuga Hinata feared him. Hinata blinked a couple of times and tried to convince herself she was just seeing things. The board was merciless, it seemed. It definitely started against the girl's wish, the opponent who was the very source of her fear. Neji-san, Hyuga Neji versus Hyuga Hinata. Oh no, Kurenai was worried for her shy student. Although Hinata was not someone to be underestimated since she was a Hyuga, her lack of confidence greatly lowered her performance in combat. Kurenai knew that the only reason why Hinata even bothered to join the chunin exam was to change herself. Neji was a fearsome opponent, according to Asuma. From what he said, Neji has never lost a battle before and has mastered the Jaiken style. "What will you do, Hinata?" Hinata was having a massive panic attack. She knew Neji Nai sends hatred towards her and he would kill her without even blinking an eye. Hinata would have probably given up already if Naruto wasn't here. He was right next to her, for heaven's sake. What would you think if she gave up now? She could not give up now. She will fight and show Naruto what she was made of. All the years of watching him in silence she had witnessed his determination, his hard work, and his hidden strength when everyone thought he was a failure. This was the very core of her admiration towards the blonde-haired genin. She would be damned if she didn't learn anything from that. She would prove her worth. Prove worthy enough to be noticed by him. She has made her decision. The mentioned person was in deep thought. He has already noticed something fishy between them. He could just tell by the glare Neji threw at the pale girl next to him. For some inexplicable reason, this made him angry. Lots of things made him angry these days, it seemed. Although none of them matched up to this height of angriness. It was closely bordering on hatred. He did not know why this infuriated him so, but he managed to shrug it off and turned his attention to the silent girl next to him. "Hinata?" Naruto asked her concernedly, shielding his inner turmoil. Hinata looked up at him with something close to determination in her eyes. "I'll be going now, Naruto-kun." With that said, the girl jumped from the railing and landed safely on the arena at the bottom as Neji did the same while maintaining the glare full of hate and malice. Judge now stood between the competitors and announced with a flick of his hand, "Let the match begin." "Kakashi-sensei, do you know anything about them? Their eyes are freakish," Sakura exclaimed as she observed the combatants. She also noticed Lee approaching her within her peripheral vision. Eyelashes inner Sakura mentally screamed her head off, ranting about how such monstrosity could exist in her perfect little world where Sasuke-kun was. "Sakura, you must have heard of the Hyuga clan, correct?" Kakashi replied with little more than sarcasm. "After all, they are the biggest and most powerful clan of Konoha. If you've never heard of them, then you can't be called a ninja of Konoha. If I hadn't known better, I would have called you a spy. Isn't that right, Lee-kun?" Kakashi pressed his luck, knowing it would piss her off more than anything. Sakura's pride was that she was the smartest genin of Konoha, book-wise, which means he's insulting her intelligence, as well as her very pride. Far as he can tell, Sakura doesn't take jokes about her intellectual capability lightly. Kakashi-sensei Sakura let out an incredible amount of killing intent in her glare, while including as much venom as she could muster in her voice. She's so predictable, Kakashi thought, bored. Now she's going to say, Sakura-sensei, do not be mean to her. After all, I promised to protect her with my life. Lee posed a ridiculous position that resembled Guy's pose in more than its appearance. Lee continued, including malicious verbal attempts to damage her fragile heart. He was obviously ignorant to the previous show of anger by Sakura. Sakura forgot what she was about to say and sweat dropped. What a freak. Inner Sakura and outer Sakura chorused in unison. Kakashi shook his head at the ridiculousness of his eternal rival, as Guy claims it's so's pupil. With a resigned sigh, Kakashi grumbled, a thought youth these days no respect of all. Both Hyugas stood in silence until Neji spoke with noticeable malice. I advise you to give up now, Hinata-sama, and turn back while you can. I already knew the fate which was given to you the very second our match was announced. Neji performed the seals that unlocked the Byakugan, and grotesque veins appeared around his almost colorless eyes. My Byakugan is telling me you will lose to me, though I do not even need it to tell me what's going to happen to you. Hinata stayed silent. Although Neji didn't show it outwardly, it bothered him that, known for extreme lack of confidence, Hinata-sama was not giving any visible response. His Byakugan has not sensed anything either. Neji chose to press the matter. I know your reason behind entering this exam. I have said this many times before and I will repeat myself, people cannot change no matter what. Everyone has a fate given at their birth. Yours, Hinata-sama, is to lose. Hinata still stayed silent. Now it irked him. She did not really seem like her usual self. Why should he care? He already knew the outcome of this fight. It won't matter. Once again, Neji chose to press on. This is my last warning. Hinata-sama. Give up and save yourself and embarrass. Shut up. Neji was cut off by an angry Naruto screaming his head off. Who do you think you are, putting people down like that? You think you're better than everyone, Hinata, show him who's boss. Naruto shouted with an angry shake of his fist. Hinata looked up. How dare he, Naruto thought as he finished his statement. This kind of attitude was exactly what he's been receiving ever since he was little and still receiving. Everyone expected him to fail and adults looked down upon him with murderous cold eyes. Flashback. Naruto, I want you to perform your henge no of Hokage-sama. Now. Ichiraku said patiently. Naruto amped, then yelled, henge. Resulting in something that looked like a wrinkled and shrunken potato with Hokage's face imprinted on where it appears to be the face. Of course, class erupted into a volley of laughter, mocking and pointing at Naruto. What a done stupid. Naruto just stood there, swallowing his tears, just as he told himself that he will never cry again countless times. He was not a failure and he'll make everyone see that. Uzumaki Naruto never goes back on his word. Flashback ends. Every time he'd fail and then there was no one to pick him up. After all that, this little frickin' albino comes along, talking crap about fate and all. Well, Neji could shove his crap back up his ass. Nobody deserves an attitude like that, and least of all, Hinata. From what he'd seen, she was very similar to him. She might be a little weird, but she was so far who had been nice to him among his peers. He would not have anyone else treated in a way like they treated him. Hinata. Don't just stand there. Talk back to him. It's making the audience angry. Naruto bellowed once again and encouraged the silent Hinata. Unbeknownst to Naruto, his little outbursts of encouragement were all that she needed. Naruto-kun is cheering for me. He is watching me and I will not fail. Hinata thought as she performed seals required for Byakugan, just as Neji did. Neji-san, I will not be running away. With that, Hinata got in her Hyuga stance. Neji, looking indifferent, said, a decision you will soon regret, Hinata-sama. He mirrored her stance and both Hyugas glared down at each other. Let us begin. Hinata said as veins around her eyes twitched. Hinata and Neji started circling around each other, looking for any openings. It was Neji who made the first move by charging while thrusting his left palm forward, which was packed with chakra. Hinata dodged to the right with speed she should not have possessed, then with her index and middle fingers, pressed a few points on Neji's left arm. In response, Neji growled and began the counter by twirling his upper body with his right palm barely grazing Hinata's stomach. Both jumped apart to gain some distance from each other. Who'd known she would react that fast? My ignorance has caused this. Now my left arm is almost unusable. It's gonna hurt a bit too. I must take countermeasures, Neji thought grimly as he grabbed his left arm, which had been pressed with tenketsu points. Damn, I did not want to use this, but Hinata-sama is proving more difficult than rumors suggested. Whoa, what did she do? Naruto watched with amazement and curiosity at the strange sight below him. She just pressed a few points on his arm and now he's acting like it's broken or something. Wow. Is that really Hinata? That is Hyuga's Jaiken Ryu. It is quite formidable. Few hits may prove to be fatal. Kurenai explained Naruto's unspoken question. Although she did not show it, Kurenai was also pleasantly surprised. This Naruto boy, does he mean this much to you, Hinata? Jaikin what? Naruto asked dumbly again, not quite catching what the young said, earning a tired sigh. Hinata uses Chinese style called Jaikin. Making sure Naruto understood her this time, she continued. There are two types of Taijutsu, Tekken, the Iron Fist style, and Jaikin, the Gentle Fist style. Tekken is a physical damage-centered style, such as breaking bones and flesh. Kurenai triple-checked Naruto's attention again. While Jaikin goes for the chakra inner coil system, which is the path for chakra. Naruto stared incredulously. What? Inner, what's it called? Kurenai had a large vein on her forehead, and Naruto got the answer. Just kidding, can they even see the inner thingy? Naruto asked, as he tried to look as innocent as possible. Kurenai gave up and continued. Hyugas have something special called the Byakugan, which allows them to see someone's chakra inner coil system. This is what makes the Hyuga so powerful. They insert their own chakra into their opponent's coil. By doing so, the inner coil system is damaged, as so is the surrounding organ. Even if it just nicks you, it's going to hurt. A lot. Naruto just stared. After a moment of silence, he asked, so there is no way to beat it? How do you train your organs? You can't. Lee stated plainly, as Sakura stared at the fighters below them. You can train your muscles and bones, but not your organs such as heart, lung, and various other organs. That is why Jaikin is so fearsome. Lee finished with a grim look on his face. Then, you can't beat them? Sakura asked while still being amazed by the seemingly freakish pair down in the arena. I wish I had powers like that, Sakura thought grudgingly. It would be hard, but I do not believe they are invincible. Still grim, Lee told solemnly, half to himself. I will never believe that someday, I will defeat you, Neji. Neji and Hinata were still facing off. None of them made a move yet. Neji seemed to be calculating, and Hinata was well. You just couldn't tell. Once again, Neji made the first move. Neji threw a kunai aimed for Hinata's eye, and she deflected it with a kunai of her own. Unfortunately, this was exactly what Neji had been waiting for. You're within my field of haki. Neji hissed as he moved his usable arm behind him as his left arm laid limp. Hinata's eye slightly widened as she recognized the stance. Neji wasted no time. Jaikin Ryu. 64 hands of haki. Neji yelled as he performed the devastating attack, but with his left hand unusable, he had to move his right hand twice as fast. Damn, I can't keep this up. This is a pain in the neck doing it with only one hand. What? Surprisingly, his fingers were blocked by a small wall of chakra, and then Neji's eyes widened a great deal as he realized what had just happened. Could it be? I don't understand how she could use it. Hinata whirled. Needless to say, he was blown back quite roughly away from her and crashed into the wall. Neji Nai-san, please do not underestimate me. Hinata started looking quite proud. After all, I am the heiress of the Hyuga main house. Hinata looked up at Naruto while her Byakugan was still active. Naruto-kun, am I worthy? While Naruto thought for umpteenth times as he watched the pale girl fight. She was fighting with an unexplainable grace and deadliness. It was like watching a dance. Her movements were flowing, and it was a beautiful sight indeed. Her short blue hair would flow beautifully with her graceful movement, and her eyes shone with determination she possessed. She's so cool. The blonde-haired Genin's mind produced such a comment but was not bothered by it. It was as normal as eating his ramen. It just came naturally. Currently, Neji was having a hard time, though he would never admit it, against the Hyuga heiress. She proved to be quite a challenge for him since he has never fought another Hyuga before. Currently she was focusing on immobilizing him. It seems rumors have proven false. She was not quite weak, as Hyuga main house states, as having mastered Kaiten is proof of her strength. Not many mastered the secret art of the Hyuga main house, for he only knew a few people, that being himself, his father, and his Ashi, who could perform the heavenly spin. This makes it all the more interesting. Unfortunately, it will take more than this to defeat me. Neji thought confidently as he dodged Hinata's palm aimed for his shoulder. The blows he's been dodging were semi-fatal since she can just tap him to paralyze him. Neji himself could easily paralyze her as well, but it was kind of hard with his primary left arm unusable. Currently, both had not done any visible damage, but the effect of the deadly Jaikin would show as the fight went on sooner or later. She mocks me. The main house, I will make an example of her. Neji's usual hatred for the main house has returned from the current flow of events, which surprised him a whole lot and forgot about it, so he decided he would finish this off. Wait, Jaikin utilizes the chakra pathways to damage internal organs and to control the flow of your enemy's chakra. Then, this numbness of my left arm can be prevented if I press here and there. Neji grinned maliciously. He wasn't called the Hyuga genius for nothing. Shikamaru, do you know who is winning? I can't really tell. It seems to me Hinata is doing just fine. I thought you said that Neji was dangerous, Ino asked, as she observed the weird battle where the Hyugas just seemed to be trying to slap and poke each other to death. Why are they fighting like that anyways? I don't think you can kill people by poking each other forever. Ino abruptly stopped her questions as she noticed what her teammate was doing. Now, she was ticked. Shikamaru, how dare you? Dozing off to sleep instead of paying attention to me. Of course, he would have to pay for this. Shikamaru, who was dozing off again to his cloud heaven, somehow noticed the blonde girl's displeasure and forced himself to squeeze an eye open. From somebody with high intellectual capabilities like Shikamaru, that was probably not the best answer he should have provided at the moment. The reason is that such a reaction would cause Ino's radioactive attitude to raise a notch, which will result in a 93.8% chance of inflicting great pain to Shikamaru. Ino's fist trembled way too close to his groggy face, and in seconds, it would be shoved in his face. Oh shit, fortunately for Shikamaru, the danger has set his genius mind to work overtime and create an escape route from his fate. I don't like this, but this calls for extreme measures. Shikamaru. Ino's voice was laced with killing intent, but she could not see what the ponytailed genin was doing, since she closed her eyes in a feeble attempt to restrain herself from inflicting serious injuries. She probably would have screamed already if she had her eyes open, Shikamaru thought, as he performed simple seals and softly muttered henge. You will pay for this dearly, Shikaya, huh? Sasuke-kun. Ino opened her eyes to find her one and only idol, Uchiha Sasuke, leaning against the wall, looking calm and stoic as always. Sasuke-kun. Ino immediately tried to grope him, but so-called Sasuke immediately ducked and then cancelled the transformation with a puff. Gee, you girls really throw yourself at him, don't you? Shikamaru stated somewhat bitterly and then went back to his beloved sleep. What happened to Ino? Her launched face had a little face-to-face meeting with the wall Shikamaru was leaning against with full force and had passed out from impact. Always be aware of your surroundings, that was the last thought of Shikamaru's ingenious mind before it fell into blissful darkness where clouds roamed free. I must stay alert. Neji Nai-san is not one to go easy on me. Indeed, Hinata had thought correctly, as Neji suddenly rushed towards her in what seemed to be blinding rage. Hinata did her best to lessen the grazing touch of chakra and tried to hit Neji in the process. Unfortunately, Neji seems to have predicted her and gained distance as he jumped back to safety. He then grinned like a cat that had eaten the fat canary. Hinata-sama, do you still think that you will win the match? It's not too late to give up, for I have found ways to counter my body's reaction towards Tenketsus. Neji then turned his all-seeing gaze toward his limp left arm and pressed many points here and there with blinding speed with his right arm. After he had done so, his limp arm started to twitch, and the twitch grew every second to spasms until it finally stopped. Neji gripped his left wrist and held it while clenching and unclenching his left hand as if to test it. Grinning satisfied, he turned his gaze back to his opponent. I thank you, Hinata-sama, for letting me have time to recover the use of my left arm. Neji bowed mockingly. Hinata stared at her cousin's arm, amazed, which was now moving quite normally. Let's finish this, shall we? Ingenious, he has fully recovered his left arm by utilizing his flow of chakra correctly, undoing Hyuga's Jaiken damage. He is indeed the Hyuga genius. Kakashi thought as he observed the fight, which seemed to be favoring Neji now. Neji attacked quickly and gracefully at Hinata with speed that was hard to follow with untrained eyes, unlike Kakashi's. The fact that Neji uncovered a way to regain strength from Jaiken damage in itself was astounding, while the fact that he figured it out during the midst of a battle shined even brighter. A true genius. Hinata gritted her teeth while she felt the damages from her cousin's barrage of attacks. They seemed to rain down upon her with unforgiving strength and power, while she could do no more than defend herself pathetically. Her cousin was indeed superior in strength, and the fact that he was enraged made it even worse. Though Hinata was already going beyond her limits, Neji was slowly rendering her defenses useless despite her effort. Is this my extent? Neji pounded her stomach. Am I doomed to fail? Hinata flew high in the air. Am I forever to be humiliated? With a bone-shattering impact, Hinata landed on the floor on her back. Wide eye. Neji stood triumphant while looking down at the injured form of Hinata. She was lying across the cold floors, wearing a pained expression. She got what she deserved. I warned her, and she did not listen. Destiny has already chosen the winner. She will not get up. Though Neji thought it was not possible, Hinata slowly stood when Hate was about to announce Neji the winner. Cough Neji Nai-san, I will not go down. Not yet, I must prove myself to someone who I deeply admire. I must not fail yet. Hinata spoke softly between pained gasps and coughs. Nai-san cough, though you may not think so, I know your struggles. How dare she talk like she knows me? How dare she? Unaware or aware of thoughts going through the young Hyuga genius, Hinata continued. I have suffered for a long, too my father does not acknowledge me as his daughter anymore. I am a mere weakling to his eyes. But Neji Nai-san, I have found something I believe in. I cannot lose, not in front of him. Hinata once again took a stance, but this time, with a new burning determination in her eyes. I will defeat you, Nai-san. Hinata-sama, do you really think you can change? Is that what you believe in? A person is born with a destiny. A loser will always be a loser. The main house. The person who's lost and suffering in the branch house, it's you, isn't it, Nai-san? I can see that I am not the only one. Neji did not answer as his eyes widened in pure hate. His fists clenched and trembled as he tried desperately to control his rage, but soon proved futile. He charged blindly in rage, clearly intending to kill her. Neji-kun. This match is over. Hinata heard the judge call out in panic, but she ignored his warning and also charged at her cousin at an almost equal speed. Although, her gaze was one of acceptance and fondness, in contrast to Neji's burning, consuming rage. Naruto-kun, have I changed myself even just a little bit? Both combatants collided, though it was hard to see what had exchanged between the two. Nonetheless, it was Hinata who was knocked into the air once again, and she plummeted to the ground. I will kill her for even presuming that she knows me. Neji thought as he gazed up at his object of hatred. Hinata-sama was still in the air, conscious or unconscious, though most likely the latter. He saw her reach the maximum height of his blow and fell to the ground in almost slow motion. This is my chance. Neji gathered chakra to his feet easily and then jumped towards the falling Hinata. Even though blinded by rage, he had unconsciously measured the height and the angle he would need to gain in order to finish her off completely. Neji grinned darkly, imagining his victory. Dark, evil look resided on Neji's usually calm, pale face as he prepared for the kill. Goodbye, Hinata-sama. Throwing his left palm filled with deadly chakra towards her open, unguarded chest, Neji aimed for Hinata's, or anybody else's, for that matter, most vulnerable organ. Her heart. This is it. So engrossed in his satisfaction, Neji barely detected an orange blur charging between him and his target, let alone react to it. Impossible. Neji's palm had struck down an airborne Naruto. Neji started on, shocked at the result. Naruto was falling, right alongside with an unconscious Hyuga heiress to the unforgiving ground. What the fool. To risk his life for another, for a loser like her. Neji landed lightly on the ground, while both Naruto and Hinata had hit the ground hard. Damn, that was my chance. I'll make you pay for interrupting my affairs, dead last. Neji then noticed all the others who had gathered around him, each in positions where they could stop his movement at any time. Each was either ready to perform hand seals or had kunai aimed at his vital organs. Neji-kun, please stop this immediately. Hayate spoke in his sickly manner, his right hand pointing towards his forehead and left hand ready to form seals. Gee, so main house's heiress gets special treatment too, huh? Pathetic spoiled brat. Take that back, you freak. Naruto coughed out the words as blood streamed down his mouth. He stood up shakily, clutching his chest in extreme pain. Is this how you treat your family? Ignorant bastard. Cough. More blood coughed out of his mouth as he spoke. Well. If it isn't the Academy's #1 dead last. I suggest you keep out of things you simply cannot comprehend. You live a lot longer that way. Neji replied with unconcealed mockery and with a hint of disgust. Though, you may not live much longer anyway. Cough, I don't die easily, and you better not underestimate me either. Hyuga punk. Naruto replied with equal, if not exceeding, amount of disgust in his tone. Some people, they just don't understand how lucky they are to have a family. Whatever. Talk all you want. Neji abruptly turned around and calmly walked towards the stairs. Naruto gritted his teeth in absolute hatred as he glared at the back of the retreating Hyuga genius. I'll make you pay, arrogant people like you. Just you wait. Uzumaki. Naruto never goes back on his words. With a deadly oath made, he turned around to gaze upon the unmoving form of Hinata, who was oblivious to the world. Winner, Hyuga Neji. Hayate stated as he retracted his hand seals pointed at Neji, while the other followed the same and jumped back up to the railings. This time around, medic nins have already arrived, examining the pupil-less girl's condition. They opened her thick jacket and checked for her pulse on her neck and chakra level on her chest. One of them exclaimed, "Hurry. She's in critical condition." Then they hurriedly lifted the girl on the stretcher and ran past Naruto's questioning gaze. Hinata, she is similar to me. Naruto also then turned towards the stairs and walked back up to the railings. Cough. Let us start the last match. Participants Gaara and Rock Lee, please come down to the arena. Cough. Hayate said as he read off the electronic board, since nobody was really paying attention except the mentioned Gaara. He was already standing in the middle of the arena, while specks of sand flailed around him like a miniature typhoon. Yosh. It's my turn. Rock Lee yelled happily as he jumped off the rail in excitement. The preliminary was drawing to a close. Yosh. It's my turn. I felt really proud of his student. He was always bright, determined, and never gave up. It was like looking at a better version of his younger self. He felt like boasting, and that's what he did. Kakashi, I think you will witness something more amazing than your Uchiha. That is one of my pupils, Rock Lee. I bet you'll be jealous. Guy stated happily dramatically as his prized student jumped off the railing to fight his strange opponent. Chen. Do you say something, Guy? Kakashi replied nonchalantly, and Guy silently cried at the corner for his defeat. Your damn coolness has defeated my fiery passion once again. One of these days, you will crawl beneath my feet. Guy thought as he cried and was formulating a plan which was sadly disrupted by a loud bang in the arena. That Lee kid might have some problems, Kakashi stated to Guy, who was in shock of what had happened to his student. Lee, be careful, Guy thought worriedly as he observed Lee's odd opponent. Shit, what is this? I tried shuriken, punches, kicks, almost everything I had in my possession, and not even a scratch. It feels like I'm punching a solid metal or something. He hasn't even moved an inch yet. I've never met such an opponent. I may need to use that technique, Lee thought incredulously as he dodged massive waves of sand one after another. Is he ever gonna run out of sand or something? Is that all you got? Gaara's intimidating yet frightening voice rang out above the sound of the sand going about to decompose his opponent limb to limb. Gaara seemed bored. This fight needs more. Gaara's expressionless face suddenly twisted into a sickening longing grin. Blood with that, the sand moved more vigorously to crush its opponent. What's up with him, bloodlust? Lee thought as he dodged another pile of sand that came at him like a beast, which strangely resembled a hand. As the hand was about to grab Lee's leg, he disappeared, then reappeared on top of the statue of Hand Seal. Lee. You may take them off now. Guy yelled at Lee confidently while showing his white, sparkling teeth which blinded many people in the arena. But Guy-sensei. I thought you said I can take them off only when I'm protecting someone important. Lee yelled at top of his lungs at his sensei to get his message across, then received a reassuring thumbs up with a bonus wink. It's alright. Come on, Lee, I allowed. Yosh. Lee dramatically yelled again as he took his hidden weights off. Each of them had guts written on them. What a fool. A few weights were not going to change any. Tamari's thoughts were interrupted as the weights Lee dropped created gigantic craters which seemed to measure up to 5 meters wide each. The hell. Holy shit, that's a lot of weight, Sakura thought as her eyes bulged out more than usual and her neat hair stuck out everywhere from the surprise. Isn't it a bit too much, Guy? Kakashi smirked while Guy muttered something under his breath which sounded like always acting so cool. Here I come. Lee suddenly disappeared from the statue and then reappeared behind Gaara. What? Gaara almost didn't even get to finish his thought as a vicious punch came through his Suna no Tate and smacked right on his cheek. The force behind the blow was so strong that he rolled over several feet. It can't be, he wounded Gaara. Tamari and Kankuro thought simultaneously as they watched incredulously at their youngest brother who has never ever been wounded. Scratch that, never even been hit before. This is bad. I'm not done yet. Lee kicked around Gaara with inhuman speed and Suna no Tate did not help much. Time to finish this. Lee punched him in the gut while charging forward, putting all his momentum and strength in that one punch. Although the Suna user was doubled over, Lee could not help to think that he was punching a brick wall or something. The guy's body seemed to be very sturdy and hard. Whatever it was, there was no shield to protect him, so that had to have hurt. That was why Lee was dumbfounded when he saw Gaara standing back up again like it was nothing as he noticed something peculiar. His face was crumbling. What in the world now? Cracks appeared all over his body as he seemed to be shedding skin. Only difference was that it was made out of sand. Gaara now stood with an insane grin with his eyes frighteningly widened. Yes, nobody has ever stood up against me before. Let me kill you, you who have been able to penetrate my Suna no Tate. If I kill you, it will give me a sense of meaning, the feeling of being alive. Yes, now let me feel it. Gaara smirked as he summoned even more sand that covered the whole arena. Lee, who did not know how to fly, was in deep shit. Some of the sand started to whirl towards Lee, who hastily jumped back onto the statue, which had no sand and had height advantage. Damn, should I just omit range? I was saving that for Neji. Lee hastily started to unwrap his bandages on his arm and then yelled, Guy-sensei. May I use that technique? Receiving a blinding shine of Guy's teeth and his thumbs up, Lee acknowledged and then charged. Gaara only smirked as he just stood there, arms folded. The sand around him did not even try to protect him as Lee's devastating omit range was executed. Gaara was sent flying upwards by his chin being kicked from below and then Lee started kicking upwards in midair. Suna no Tate seemed ineffective. Lee wasted no time as he wrapped the bandages around Gaara and then descended to the ground like a spinning tornado. The impact created an explosion which looked strangely like a lotus. Out of the smoke, Lee jumped out panting. Gaara just laid there, his arms still folded, with cracks all over his body. Nothing could have survived that. Lee thought, as for some reason, dread spread within him. Hayate slowly walked towards the unmoving Gaara, then was about to announce Lee the winner, then he noticed something. Gaara's ear was falling off. No way, Lee thought in horror as his legs were clamped down as sand silently seized him without noticing. He heard sand moving behind him, so he turned his head around with dread. Gaara stood in the middle of whirling sand, unharmed and smirking. Ali asked, nobody in particular, in shock. It was right before your student attacked him. I could not even sense him while he disappeared. Somehow, he dissolved into the sand while your student executed the combo. That was quite an amazing combo, however. Wasn't that forbidden, Guy? Kakashi asked plainly, and he regarded the rival next to him, who had his face scrunched up in shock. Why? Range missed. How the hell? Range is a desperation move. It damages the user almost as much as the receiver. It also gives an incredible amount of stress to the muscle. And it missed. Guy sputtered as he pointed frantically at the arm-folded Gaara. Lee probably won't be able to execute another one unless Guy's ramble was cut short by a sharp scream which erupted from the sand boy. Tell me, which should I crush first, your leg or rather, your head? Choosing it will not make much difference to me. Gaara was sadistically enjoying this. He never had this much fun since. That brought out his old memories. He felt his headache returning as his head felt like 100 drills drilling through his head and then bashing it with a gigantic mallet. He could not take the agony, which was splitting his skull in half, and did one thing that came to mind. He screamed. He screamed a scream that struck both sympathy and fear at the same time in the deepest part of people's souls. My head. Mother. I'll kill you all. Gaara yelled and yelled so much that he lost control over his sand and they started breaking and crashing into anything that came into contact. Fortunately, as soon as the sand grip was loosened, Lee got away to a safe distance, which was the top of the statue. He observed the scene carefully, trying to understand what was going on. The arena was already crumbling as the sand struck everywhere randomly and was filled with craters. Everyone watched with a deer in the headlight fashion as the sand thrashed around wildly. Gaara took no heed of the stares as he still screamed his head off, occasionally saying things that did not make sense to people, excluding Kankuro, Temari, and surprisingly, Naruto. No. Don't leave me alone. It hurts. AHH. What is this pain? I don't understand. Love, what is love? ARRG. Shikamaru. Mother. Father. Everyone stared, shocked and petrified, as Gaara started yelling something that they could not comprehend. All but one Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto listened and watched the redhead intently. He somehow understood the message within the terrible scream. Gaara's sorrow very well matched his own. Deep inside Naruto, he knew it himself. He bottled it all up and tried to fill in the void by getting attention and acknowledgement, but it was futile. The void was still there and he knew he's still missing the key factor, love and acceptance. Although he knew what he was missing, he could not find them. They were something that was given to him. He could not earn it nor find it. He could do nothing but hope. The villagers' eyes are so cold and rejecting. It was all because of the kitsune inside him. The adults just ignored him, or when they were forced to socialize with him, they would show extreme carelessness and were very sensitive about the distance between them. If he got within the radius of 6 feet around them, they would either walk away from him to gain some more distance or say harsh words to him that scarred him deep. He was fed up with them until he met Iruka-sensei. He was the only one who did not look at him with cold eyes. Well, now he doesn't. Before Iruka took pity on him, he was just the same as everyone else. Cold and distant, but as the time passed, he somehow saw the heartbroken boy behind the exterior of a cheerful, loud-mouthed boy. If it weren't for Iruka, he would have probably ran away a long time ago. The redhead's rambling brought out all his bad memories, all of them. He related himself to Gaara and then was surprised to find out that both were extremely alike. What was weird was that Naruto kept seeing these images of the sand boy. All his past, his pain, his loss, he saw them all. He somehow got the feeling that Gaara was seeing his memories also. Why? Because Gaara was glaring right at him while screaming incoherent sentences. Naruto barely caught the last part of Gaara's ramble. Hyubi? What? Gaara was puzzled. While he was being mentally tortured to a half-dead state, he saw images pass before his eyes. Images that weren't his own. Someone else's. The blonde loud mouth, why am I seeing this? In the midst of the pain, he saw how the boy lived his life, being hated and shunned. The loneliness he felt, having no family, learning to live alone, and enduring the hatred around him. I would have killed them all a long time ago. Instead, the blonde turned to the opposite way to prove himself, gain acknowledgement, and gain a sense of existence. Gaara himself yearned for love and acknowledgement, and he found out that he could feel something close to that when killing a person. Shikamaru was the one who taught him about a cure for his heartache love. Although it was short-lived, he thought that he felt that emotion only to be taken away by Shikamaru himself. As he told Gaara that his mother never loved him, his ray of hope vanished and came to the conclusion that all else lives only to be killed by himself. Gaara liked it that way somewhat, but he still had the heartaches and occasional headaches as a bonus now. Whenever his memories surfaced into his mind, all hell would break loose. He stared up at the blonde, cursing at the would-be source of these images. The images were flashing slower than before, but they were darker than the other ones also. They seemed to be the boy's deepest secrets. Indeed, for then Gaara of the Sand witnessed the deepest inner demon of the blonde boy. It was a major understatement to say that Gaara never felt fear. What is that there is another fox who bears something like Shikaku, Gaara thought in terror, as he stared at the image of Kyuubi's flaming red eyes contained with malice and hatred gathered over the millennia. Kyuubi, Gaara whispered the terrible name that suddenly came out of nowhere. As if to taunt him, the image was stuck there, refusing to go away. Gaara found himself unable to move an inch, frozen by fear. Even if it was just an image, it was so realistic it struck pure fear inside his heart. I don't want to die, I don't want to die. He stopped screaming now and was crouched on the ground with his sand swirling around him, creating a miniature tornado. As he repeated his mantra, an incredible blow to his chin with a yell secondary range broke him out of his state. I don't know what's going on, but I'll finish this. Lee thought as he readied himself for secondary range. Lotus of Konoha always blooms twice. With that, Lee charged forward to execute the forbidden secondary range. Lee started the combo with a kick so fast that it looked like a blur. Gaara was in the air, still shocked, and Lee started to kick him around in the air while maintaining a decent line. While he kicked, Lee saw Gaara's eyes, and his own eyes widened in surprise. Is that fear? Sadly, that was the last thought the bold head got before Gaara's eyes turned back to his normal cold unforgiving eyes, and the sand appeared around him to block all Lee's moves again. The sand speed has increased as the density. That meant that Lee's kicks and punches were useless now. Luckily for Gaara, he had his Suna no Yoroi on, so did not receive any damage from the initial blow. Gaara now toyed around with Lee, who was struggling to dodge all the tearing sand. Every time the sand laid a blow, Lee would be butchered, the sand ripped and crushed. I have one last option left, Lee thought desperately as he glanced at his mentor. I seemed to have read his thoughts and nodded. Lee's moves suddenly turned normal as he dodged the sands with previous ease. After he gained some distance, he became deathly serene as chakra started flowing out of him. This was the 8 celestial inner body gates. Don't tell me that you taught him that I lost faith in you. Guy Kakashi started with a disappointed tone. He knew what that technique could do to a person. It would leave the person ripped apart, or better yet, dead. If a teacher taught a student that kind of technique, that person could not be called a teacher. What do you know about him? With uncharacteristic malice in his tone, Guy sharply replied. Do you know what he has gone through? He has something that he has to protect at his life cost it is his. Do you think I was happy teaching him that? He's a genius, Kakashi. Not the kind of Uchiha prodigy, but a true hardworking genius. He never gives up. Sort of like one of your students Naruto, was it? If you knew your student better, you might be able to understand Lee better. Until that day, you do not have the right to say anything. Kakashi did not retort. He stood there, still cool and calm, but inside he was taking in all his fellow rival had said. Understand Naruto. The more he thought about the loud-mouthed genin, he found himself that he knew Naruto's deepest hidden secrets, but not the person who resides within. He knew about his father, Kyuubi, his seal, and that he liked ramen, but that was it. What else did he know about him? Nothing. For all Kakashi knew, laughs and smiles could be all facade. Kakashi did not like being left in the dark. He came to a conclusion that the Naruto he knew now was not really the Naruto. It was an empty shell, a facade to protect him from the world's cold gaze. It did not help much, he realized, but it was still there. Kakashi felt shame rising as he remembered that he had been neglecting Naruto over Sasuke. He also realized that he was somewhat of a hypocrite. He always thought of himself better than other people's attitude towards Naruto, but in reality, he was just being an acquaintance. Kakashi came, Kakashi left. That was just how it was. The bottom line was, he did not really care for Naruto. As a teammate, yes. As a person, no. Kakashi fought hard to resist the sudden urge to kill himself. Lee stood straight as overwhelming chakra expanded out of his body. He was forcing his limits, he knew. After this, he would be lucky if he could use Renge again. Hell, he would be lucky if he could even do Taijutsu anymore. This technique was truly dangerous, and he had to be careful. Opening initial gate, heal gate, life gate. Lee's skin became red and veins bulged out on his forehead, freakishly resembling Byakugan. I will not be the only one who fails here, Neji, Sasuke, and Naruto. Opening wound gate, limit gate, I am ready. Watch closely, Neji. Now is the time to abide by and protect my way of the ninja. Gaara, here I come. After opening as many gates as possible, Lee charged with blinding speed, which both Gaara and the sand could not detect. The result of that was Gaara being thrown in midair and punched and kicked around while still being suspended in air. Sand could do nothing except to try and follow the moves futilely. Damn it, my armor is being ripped off. Is this really a human movement? Gaara questioned incredulously, as he has never seen anything like this. It was simply incredible. The audience could not even see, excluding, and such, where Lee was only seeing after images, and a Gaara ragdoll. Kakashi-sensei, how is Lee-san doing this? Sakura, who wisely took a step back before an adult's arguments, now could not hold in her curiosity, and asked. It is the 8 celestial inner body gates. It's not something that anybody could do. It opens all the chakra gates of the person, which controls the flow of chakra. There are 8 in total: initial, heal, life, wound, limit, view, wonder. The setback is that after the person is done they often die. Kakashi explained the consequences to Sakura, who could not hold her horror. Lee-san is not going to die, is he? Sakura asked again, fear creeping in her voice. It depends on Guy, how many gates can he open? Kakashi asked Guy with an accusing tone. Guy either didn't notice or ignored it for once. 5. The simple answer came. Kakashi fought an urge to gasp. 5. That's not something that could be done with hard work alone. Maybe he is a genius after all, Kakashi said in a subdued surprised tone, while revealing his Sharingan eye for better observation. Lee-san, be careful. Lee gritted his teeth as he felt his left arm muscle being torn. Just a little longer, I should finish this off with orange. While Gaara was being pummeling, soon a notate was proven useless. The speed which Lee was moving was not something that the sand wall could catch up to. Gaara only had his Suna no Yoroi, but it was slowly being peeled off. I will win this even if it costs my life. Lee held Gaara's robe, then used that to launch him back to Lee, who had a fist waiting. Opening view gate. Lee exceeded his limits and opened the next gate. Guy's eyes visibly widened as he noticed what Lee had done. No, Lee, don't go that far. His silent pleas went unheard, and Lee punched Gaara several times in the gut with speed resembling lightning. Gaara's Suna no Yoroi could not stand much longer, but Lee gave him no time to think as he prepared for Yor range. Gaara, this is it. Lee yelled, orange, as he disappeared for a second, then reappeared, only to have his fist shoving Gaara down to the ground. Gaara's Suna no Yoroi was still in effect and protected him from the initial punch, but he did not think he could be unharmed when he hit the ground at this rate. It was then the gourd decided to show its true form and turned into sand. Everything was in slow motion as Guy watched the gourd defend its master. Gourd turned into sand. No. There was a big explosion as both competitors crashed into the ground with a bang, and when the smoke cleared, Lee was panting heavily and crawling on the floor, while Gaara was lying in the sand with his Suna no Yoroi cracked. It seemed that Suna no Tate absorbed the impact at the last minute. Lee and Guy were dumbfounded as Gaara slowly rose up in the middle, seeming to be unharmed once again. Impossible. He has to have sustained at least some damage. If 8 celestial inner body gates did not even scratch him, then what will? Guy thought as he watched horrified. The sand was closing in on Lee. Lee's muscles received an incredible amount of stress and damage while using the forbidden technique, and his arm muscles were ripped and torn. He could not even stand right. Worst of all, Gaara seemed to be fine. Lee felt truly scared as Gaara formed a seal in hand and sand responded with massive waves coming towards him. Lee tried to crawl away, but his left arm and leg were grabbed by the sand's iron grip. Sand smacked him against the ground a couple of times so hard that he almost lost consciousness. Gaara proceeded to use one of his most gruesome attacks. Sabaku Sausu. But the sickening crunch, Lee's arm and legs were crushed with unimaginable pressure as sand did what its master commanded. Lee screamed in extreme pain as he felt his arm's every muscle being ripped and his every bone being crushed. Gaara thought that it wasn't enough, so he tried to engulf Lee whole. Lee still desperately tried to dodge the attack, but he could not even crawl an inch away. Gaara would have succeeded in crushing Lee's every last bone into crumbs if Guy had not interrupted. That's enough. You have already won this match. Guy said as he slapped away the incoming sand. Images flashed in Gaara's mind once more. This time, it was his darkest memories, Yashimaru, his father, siblings, and the sand villagers. All of those which were a possible source of love. Gaara gripped his head in pain, but did not scream. While trying to ease his turmoil, he replied, what is he to you? Guy's answer was, he's an important subordinate I love. Gaara stared at him for a moment, then turned and walked away. He muttered, I quit. Winner, Gaara. Haid announced calmly. Medical nins came to treat Lee, then all of them shuddered at the wound. They told Guy the result of his extreme behavior. Sir, I'm sorry to say this, but he should stop being a ninja. The statement caused Guy to shudder. He was afraid to ask why, but he had to. What is his condition? His muscles were torn everywhere and his bones were broken. It would be fine if that was all the damage, but I'm afraid that his left arm and leg will be crippled for the rest of his life. I'm sorry. Medic Nin did seem to be really regretful when he said this, but this did not register to Guy. Guy tried to look calm on the outside, but the mask was cracking because of the tears he held inside. You went far to protect yours. It is alright. You have already proven yourself, Lee. I was such a fool to teach you this technique. I am a fool. Naruto came running down again, and on the way, he passed Gaara. They shared a menacing glance for a split second, but Naruto quickly went running to thick eyebrows. Is he okay? Naruto asked Guy, who was standing still in the middle of the arena. Guy softly said Lee will be okay. It was a statement that nobody believed. Gaara teleported back up to the balcony and stood there, still clutching his head. He still could not understand the concept of love, as he was the demon who cares only for himself. His name meant that. Gaara did not know of this love, but he desperately wanted it. The problem was, he did not know how to get it. The people near him always cowered and ran or tried to kill him for being a monster. Why am I the only one? No, there is another. Gaara then remembered the blonde-haired genin. He saw Kitsune's darkest and deepest memories and felt his feelings. The demon inside him was more frightening than his own. Gaara glanced down at the arena where Naruto stood next to the thick eyebrow sensei, who was also glaring back at him with hate and determination. He seemed to be angry about something. It was then Gaara witnessed it. Naruto's eyes flashed crimson red. This confirmed Gaara's earlier suspicion. He was another like himself. He was somehow almost identical, yet different, as day and night. The fact that he had not given up on pleasing others while trying to earn love. Maybe. No, I do not need love. I will destroy him and gain a greater sense of existence. After all, he was Gaara, the demon who cares only for himself. He did not need this love. Flashbacks. Thud. Ow, damn you, morning headaches. Naruto grumbled as he sluggishly got up from the floor with his penguin PJs on. It was already the morning of the main third exam. The tragic news of Rock Lee's injury affected all of the rookie nines, for Lee's injuries may never heal. Most grew extreme fear, while others, namely Naruto, craved vengeance with a passion towards the red-haired sand genin. Naruto's encounter with him had been interesting, to say the least. Shikamaru and Naruto had been visiting Konoha's proud green beast while they were in hospital themselves. When the boys had come in, Gaara had been clutching his head in pain, while his sand had spilled all over the room with Lee in the bed oblivious to his surroundings. It was quite apparent what the Tanuki boy had been trying to do. He had been confronted, and Gaara unnecessarily revealed his past to them, while confirming Naruto's suspicions about the images he saw at the arena. They have matched word to word completely. Afterwards, Gaara and Naruto had shared a deep, meaningful look with each other, but Gaara broke off the unintentional glaring contest and walked out of the room promising Naruto and Shikamaru's demise when Guy introduced himself into the scene. Though Gaara could not see Naruto, Naruto had been glaring steadily into his back while he exited. The albino boy was begging for a beating. But first, there was an obstacle he must overcome first. Hyuga Neji, last year's #1 rookie and a master of gentle fist style, and the one who harmed Hinata. Naruto's blood boiled at the thought. He had trained to his extremes with the pervert Sennin to triumph over the Hyuga genius and the Tanuki boy, while his mind was solely set on kicking the living daylight out of the Hyuga. Naruto just couldn't forgive him for injuring Hinata like that. Even I don't understand why I'm so angry. The one possible reason might be the kitsune inside of him. When that bastard of a sensei pushed him off the cliff, he had met the deity of destruction inside his own mind. It was for the first time Naruto and Kitsune had encountered each other face to face. Both individuals scowled at one another, one in malice, one in even greater malice, and a little of amusement. Well, if it isn't my hateful little vessel, come closer so I can crush you. The nine-tailed being spat out the sentence in disgust, while his huge threatening claws swiftly charged at Naruto until it was stopped due to the small size of gaps between the bars in Naruto's mental prison. It was fortunately too narrow for Kyuubi's giant claws to get by. Ignoring the fact that his claws could not reach the blonde boy, Kyuubi struck the cage blow after blow until he noticed that the boy was still there and had not run for his pathetic human life. To Naruto's credit, he had not even flinched, though the little display of raw strength had shook him inside to some extent. Somewhat impressed, Kyuubi stopped his barrage of anger and silenced, intending to hear what this little human had to say. Finally, you goddamned furball. I thought you would never shut up. Kyuubi scowled once again. Shut your trap, little human. If it wasn't for this pathetic seal your cursed father placed upon me, you wouldn't even be a decent snack. That's funny. If it's so pathetic, then why can't you break it, huh? Gee, you're all talk. Anyhow, I didn't come here to trade insults, as much as I hate to admit. Naruto said with a grimace. Thought, as much, human. What, are you ready to beg for me to save your pathetic life? Kyuubi's laughter echoed throughout the prison, while the blonde genin stood still, giving no sign of agitation or anger. Talk all you want, you homicidal hairball. This is my mind. Here in my mind, it's my rules, or the bottom of the stinking cliff. Kyuubi stopped his laughter. You humans are so amusing, bluffing, and talking all big while all they do is talk. Sneering, Kyuubi barked. Do you think I'm bluffing? You're dumber than I thought, demon. You should know, Uzumaki Naruto never goes back on his words. Naruto stated, also sneering right back at the beast. Another thundering laughter filled Naruto's mindscape. Alright, human. You amuse me, I guess I'll let you live this time. As soon as Kyuubi finished his sentence, crimson, blood-red chakra seeped out of Kyuubi's prison and soon wrapped itself around Naruto's figure. All Naruto heard after the crimson chakra covered his mind was a flash of immeasurable power and this soft-spoken statement. By the way, you should know this too, human. We are already merging. After that little encounter with his inner demon, he started feeling more than normal. Naruto could now smell Ichiraku ramen's delicious aroma all the way from his apartment while he accidentally ripped apart his punching Kakashi-sensei doll with utmost ease. His own strength now surprised him to no end, for Naruto now broke chopsticks and dishes into tiny little pieces, even if he tried to be ever so careful. Obviously, his 5 main senses have drastically increased, while his physical strength had also dramatically increased to incredible levels. Seriously, now he couldn't even throw a kunai without busting his apartment walls through and destroying the next wall. Another disturbing fact was that his pupils have been turned into 2 menacing slits. Naruto looked at himself in the mirror, gazing back at his now deep blue eyes. Not like once bright sky blue with a tint of faked happiness, but now a deep blue hue that belonged to the deepest parts of the ocean, containing immeasurable secrets. So deep, it almost coincided with black. Damn, is this what they call puberty? Naruto thought, feeling ridiculous as he prepared himself for one of the greatest challenges of his life. Hyuga Hinata strolled down the woods, walking along the training grounds that eventually lead to the arena. Kiba had come with her, but he had disappeared somewhere while grumbling about finishing businesses in bushes, whatever that meant. Neji Nai-sen against Naruto-kun. The more she thought of it, the more depressed she became. This was a grim match between people who she cared more than life itself, both competing against each other until a winner was chosen. Hinata cared deeply for her cousin, for she understood the ordeals he went through. Though Neji did not accept her indirect apology during the prelims, Hinata just hoped that everything would turn out fine in the end. After all, Neji Nai-sen is her cousin. Her Naruto-kun. Hinata had noticed that he had become different recently. During the 1-month break the participants of the chunin exam were given, she had encountered her secret love once. She engraved every single moment with him into her heart and forbade herself from ever forgetting. Though, the changes she had noticed were not quite clear, very subtle, but it was there. The encounter with the object of her affection occurred at the Ichiraku ramen during lunch, where her teammates, well, actually it was all Kiba, but Shino followed nonetheless, dragged her down to eat there, since it was famous for the delicious taste of the soup. Hinata of course refused at first, but Kiba had insisted in such a way, the puppy dog eyes, that she just couldn't say no. And there he was sitting at a table, all alone. To her surprise, Naruto was barely even touching his bowl, while his face was in a serious, lonely manner Hinata knew all too well. It wasn't like Naruto-kun to be sulking like that, Hinata decided. She was quite certain that this was the chance to act, but she just couldn't seem to find that tiny little courage needed for the push. But oh, he was so sad. It was practically breaking her heart to see him like this. The indestructible spirit inside him, but that didn't mean the boy didn't have feelings. For whatever reason he was upset, it must have been pretty serious, she concluded. Now, she just needed that little spark to act. Nah, Hinata-chan, Arik. You don't look so good. Kiba asked her with a concerned expression, while his pet Akamaru mirrored his expression. Yes, Kiba-kun. I am fine. Hinata replied in the calmest tone she could possibly muster, and then she casually added, I'll be right back. With that, Hinata started walking towards the table where the blonde boy sat alone, ignoring Kiba's message saying he'll save a seat for her. Hinata walked towards the table in firm motion, while repeating her prayers of courage inside over and over again, hoping she wouldn't lose her composure and melt to the ground. Surely, it could not be that hard just talking to her crush. Who am I kidding? Oh, just walk up to him and say hi Naruto. Care to tell me why you saved me from evil? Neji Nai-sen's finishing blow. Great, Hinata. Before she could even prepare herself, she was already there at his table, her timid figure towering over his unusually depressed demeanor with the firmness of a rubber. The instant she stood at his table, the boy had noticed her apparently. Oh, hi Hinata. What brings you here? I've been a customer of this little stand for over 8 years, and I don't ever remember you coming here before. Naruto greeted with a smile, his faraway look and pain all gone like smoke, so unrealistically gone that it made Hinata wonder if she was hallucinating in the first place. Hi Naruto-kun. This is my first time visiting here. My teammate said that this place was, good, so I came to try it. Hinata replied, trying to suppress her constant stuttering due to her extreme nervousness rising over critical levels, while her heart pumped her blood million miles per second. May I? Hinata asked timidly, gesturing towards the chair next to him. Oh, sure. Come on. The more the merrier. Naruto exclaimed with excitement as Hinata sat down next to him. Naruto then continued on to babble about how she came to the right place, how delicious the ramen smells, and how to enjoy the ramen to the fullest, and just about anything else about ramen known to humanity. Hinata sat there, listening tentatively to every word he said. While she did so, she memorized every single detail of his face, down to the every last hair, and kept it in her heart, while promising to cherish it forever. How his rich sunny hair waved back and forth when he laughed, how his flexible arms moved, how his blinding cerulean eyes sparkling every moment. Since when did he have such deep blue eyes? That's strange, Hinata thought, as she stared into his enticing eyes, which were very deep blue hues, and observed his pupils which had become sort of slit-like. Though, thanks to her obvious scrutiny, it took her quite a while to realize that Naruto had stopped talking and was also looking straight into her eyes. Hinata immediately flushed into an indescribable crimson color, and she thought that she wouldn't be surprised if her heart would pop out now. Hinata looked away, trying desperately to cover her blushes. You know, I never really realized how shiny your eyes are. Actually, come to think of it, I never really noticed you, either. Hinata immediately almost fainted, and she shook her head disappointedly. Naruto-kun, am I really that invisible? But you know, Naruto continued, not really aware of Hinata's mental ponderings, as he continued. Your eyes really do look cool. Kinda like a pair of those. What do you call them? Those round, expensive thingies. There was never a moment in her life until now when she had thanked the Kami-sama for giving her these eyes she hated so much. Pearls, Naruto-kun. Hinata answered for Naruto, as Naruto smiled innocently. Hinata could have sworn her heart skipped a few beats. Yeah, pearls. Suddenly, Naruto almost bolted from his seat after he glanced at the clock. Oh, man. Gotta go. It's time to train already, and if I'm late that perverted bastard would do something horrible like feeding me to the frogs or something. Naruto shuddered, imagining all these not really pretty scenes. He hurriedly finished his 5th bowl of ramen and stood up to leave. It was nice eating with you, Naruto-kun, Hinata softly spoke, still feeling dizzy from mental cloud 9. Naruto, who didn't even have the slightest idea what was going through her head, waved at her as he paid for his ramen. Bye, Hinata-chan. As soon as Naruto said his goodbye, Hinata then finally remembered exactly why she had approached him in the first place. Though, by the time Hinata called out to him, he had already disappeared. That was the perfect chance. Sighing to herself, Hinata slowly stood up from her quarter unfinished ramen. Excuse me, sir. How much do I owe you? She asked a kind-looking old man who had served her. Oh, you don't have to pay. That idiot Naruto had already paid for you. He then checked the tab and confirmed. Yup, exact prices for 5 beef ramen and 1 vegetarian ramen. He sent her a suggestive wink. He's such a nice boyfriend, isn't he? Hinata almost went into a state of shock. No, we're not like that. We're just acquaintances. But did he really pay for me? The old man nodded once again before he was called by another customer. I'll be right there. And he was gone. It can't be. If he did pay, then this was kind of like a date. Hinata flushed at the thought before she hurriedly left the restaurant in oblivious bliss. Meanwhile, in the nearby bushes. See, Shino. I told you Hinata was going to eat with Naruto. Kiba angrily stated as he glared at the table where his pale-eyed teammate and the blonde freak were eating ramen together. Sure, I'll be right back, my ass. Akamaru lay on top of his head, observing the situation along with Kiba. Shino remained silent. I mean, how could she just ditch us like that? Kiba grumbled angrily as Akamaru scratched his ears. And for that blonde freak, too. The mere thought of it felt insulting to the dog tamer. I knew she liked him since back in the academy days, but still. Shino abruptly stood up, his bug sensing his teammate's uneasiness, and decided to calmly walk off. He obviously did not want to get involved in this fiasco. Boy Shino. Where are you going? Kiba called out to him, but Shino did not even glance back. We should not be spying on her. It is her decision. That said, Shino silently kept walking. Gee, uptight leader wannabe. Grumbling, Kiba set his beloved Akamaru inside his hood and also decided to leave the scene. Hinata frowned when she noticed the sun's position was almost at noon already. The main matches were being held at 1:30, but she had spent almost 2 hours reminiscing about her crush. Hinata blushed once again. I'm being weird. She stood near the training grounds of Team 7, slightly looking around the forest while marveling at the beauty of this afternoon. Sun's sunny rays were shining down upon the trees and the training ground, creating a beautiful serene scene. Only a few clouds invaded the skies. It was truly a breathtaking afternoon. Wow, Hinata. What are you doing here? Sudden familiar voice made Hinata nearly jump up in the air screaming, but she had restrained herself fortunately. Hinata turned around slowly, fearing while also hoping that it would be the one who she seeks. Then, Naruto-kun, you scared me. Hinata clutched her hands together above her chest while she bashfully blushed as always as she gazed upon his handsome face. Oh, sorry Hinata. Naruto scratched the back of his head, portraying an air of clumsiness though something seemed off. He's quiet today. I wonder why. Hinata slowly walked towards her crush, who stood still while looking down at the ground. Finally, Hinata spoke up. Is something wrong? Naruto suddenly looked up with a shocked expression betrayed upon his face, his slit-like eyes widening, then he looked down again. No, nothing's wrong. Hinata wasn't convinced, but she decided to respect his words. Instead, she decided to encourage the fox boy. Well, okay, I wish you good luck, Naruto-kun. Mentally scolding herself for stuttering again in front of him once more, Hinata twirled her fingers unconsciously. The habit seemed to have a nasty way of dying hard. Yeah. I'll definitely win. I'll kick his butt, Hinata. Naruto exclaimed like he always had, in his cheerful and energetic voice, though this time there was a definite undertone of hollowness. Hinata heard, and now she was even more concerned. Then Naruto sighed, then shook his head. Who am I trying to kid? I'm not even sure if I'm confident enough. Hinata, do you think I'm strong? Of course you don't, I'm just a failure. Hinata was startled, her heart felt like being squeezed lifeless as she heard him talk about himself like that for the first time since the academy days. And, Naruto-kun, she forced a smile. Oh, of course not, Naruto-kun. I think you are strong. Naruto shook his head at that. Nope, you're wrong. Naruto then took a deep breath and continued. You see, Hinata, I'm just a worthless fool. Everything I do, I mess up. Horribly. Everything I try, I never succeed. Every time I try, I always fail. Do you see now? I'm nothing but all talk. I always talk big and do meaningless pranks to get everyone's attention, but Naruto did not say any more as he looked down at his feet in silence. Suddenly, Hinata felt her eyes widen in realization. I understand now, Naruto-kun. I have never even been brave enough to be there for him even when he was bullied, but Hinata willed herself to steel her resolve. I will not back down any longer. Naruto looked at his feet, afraid to look up and see disgust or hate in Hinata's eyes, just like everyone else in the whole village. This was the first time he had ever shared his inner pains with anyone. Just now he had just admitted that he was a failure. One thing he had most feared to admit was this: a nightmare. Naruto didn't even know why he told her in the first place. It was like he was a different person in front of her. I wonder why. Wait, does it even matter? A few tense moments have passed while two ninjas stood frozen, as if they were statues. You are not a failure, Naruto-kun. Startled by her sudden soft, understanding tone, Naruto whipped his head up only to be embraced by her soft arms. She held him gently, despite the fact that she was a few inches shorter than him. Hi Hinata, don't ever think low of yourself, Naruto-kun. Your indomitable spirit is something to be greatly admired. For a long time, I have watched you from afar, watching you train harder than anyone else to obtain your dream, Naruto-kun. Don't ever say that you're a failure. Hinata's voice had somehow soothed the boy's raging emotions, calming them almost magically. There are people who are counting on you, Hinata then added mentally, someone like me. Hinata then battled between her emotional dilemmas, either to let go of this precious hug now or just hold him and hope he wouldn't mind too much, and her rational side won, so she slowly pulled back. She then smiled, her hands behind her back, and blushed brightly. And, Naruto-kun. Then awkward silence ruled the atmosphere. I shouldn't have hugged him now, he'll probably think I'm indecent or something. Hinata thought frantically, trying to come up with excuses to the question that was sure to surface soon to greater doom. Naruto opened his mouth to finally speak and Hinata closed her eyes tightly, expecting the worst. He paused again, so the silence swiftly returned to fill the gap between them. Hinata now squinted an eye open to survey the situation and was fortunately greeted with a re-energized Naruto. He scratched his head bashfully, a slight blush overriding his whisker marks faintly. Naruto seemed to have some trouble connecting his words as he stumbled on whatever he was trying to express. Thankfully, loud booms of fireworks of the arena caught their attention, serving as a God-sent interruption. Both simultaneously thought, thank God. Hinata, I guess I should be going now, Naruto laughed nervously, then put on his cheerful smile and started to run towards the general direction of the arena. Bye Hinata. Hinata could only watch as he ran further away from her to a fight she dreaded, but she replied anyway. Goodbye Naruto-kun, Hinata said timidly, still flushed from head to toe. She slightly waved back to him when she noticed that he had stopped. Oh yeah, Naruto started, his back facing her. I never really thought about this until now, but Hinata gasped and sucked in a breath and held it in anticipation. People like Hinata clenched her hands which were starting to slightly sweat. I like it. Even after he was long gone, Hinata's pearly gaze stayed on the same spot where her secret love shook her heart up like an earthquake. The end. Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time, till then sayonara.